Hey everyone, what's up? This is Simon from DevTactic. In this tutorial I will show you how to build a simple server or backend with Node.js to get a RESTful API with user authentication. And for this I already created a folder with some files because, we just need them and you can find them on my blog. The link is below this video. So let's waste no time. Let's jump in it. First of all, we got our package JSON with some dependencies and make sure to install them. So we need some encryption, we need the Express server, and for our authentication we will use the JSON web token technology. And we will have a MongoDB in the backend, so make sure you have installed that as well. And we also use Passport.js, which handles some authentication stuff inside Node.js apps. So as you can see, our Node modules are installed, and at the top level we just have our server.js, in which I've already required all those things we just installed and assigned the body parser to get the parameters once we make a request, some development. We initialize our Passport.js, but we don't use it by now. And we got a dummy root, which we can call to see if everything's working up here. And finally a log if our server is running. Alright, so what you need as well is an app folder in which we have our user.js. So I'm gonna put this down for a second. So our user is our user schema for our MongoDB, and the user will have a name. This will be a unique key, but it's just for this demo. In the real world, you might don't want to have the name unique. Maybe if it's the nickname in a game, then it might be unique, but in general, maybe not. And it also has a password, which is also required, obviously. And by the way, thanks to this blog, you can find the link also on my blog, where I've gotten the idea for this user object, and especially the part below here. Because we could store our user like this would be already fine, but we don't want to store the password in clear text. So therefore, once we have the save function of our user, we will salt the password and hash it and save it that way to our database. So the password is never in clear text anywhere and we won't see it. And also, if we do this, we have to implement a special compare function to compare the password. Once we got it from the user on the authentication, we will have to check the cleared or the clear text password with the one from the database, but we don't want to see or check any strings. So the encryption library bcrypt will handle all of this for us. So this is our user module, and I've already said it many times. You can find all the source code on my blog as well. Alright, inside the config folder we have two files, databoard and passport.js. Passport is empty right now, but inside the database we just export two variables, a secret, which will be the secret we use to encrypt our token, and the link to our MongoDB database. So this database does not have to exist by now. It's fine. MongoDB will handle this once we call it. So please make sure you have MongoDB installed, and once you have, you can just start it with Mongo or whatever system you use, and however you use it. I also use RoboMongo to inspect my database, but that's up to you. We will maybe check it later. Alright, so by now our server should be fine. and we should be able to start it. So we got the log, the server should be running, and let's try to get to our demo root. And I will use Postman because this is a great tool to test your REST API. So get localhost 8080, and there's the response, hello. So the API will be under /API, but this is just to see everything's up and running. Alright, so if you've got everything covered up here, we're fine to create some authentication. And let's get started with that. So first of all, open your, this can be closed, open your passport.js. As I said, we use passport.js, and passport.js uses the term of strategies. So we have to implement a specific strategy to assign that strategy later on to our root. So our JSON web token strategy will require the passport jwt package.strategy. So we have also installed this right here. Okay, next we need to get a user. So we obviously need our user module, or not module, model. And we also want to have our config secret, so we need to require our config. The database. Yeah, we don't need to say JS at the end. Alright, and at this point we want to export a function. So inside our server we will then use, well, I can show you how to, right below this or below that, wherever, we can say require, no, not that, require our config passport, and we pass our current passport object to this passport configuration. So we will call it like this, and so inside here we can handle the passport object. Let's see. First of all, let's create an options, because you can assign some more options. For now I will just use the secret or key parameter, and this is our config secret. But you could assign many other things. Just check out passport.js to see what's possible. Alright, what we need to do now is say passport use, our new JWT strategy, and we create this one with options and a function which will get a payload of our token, and also this done. Okay, now the hell begins. Alright, so this will call when the user tries to access a protected root, and in my example I just look for the user if it's inside our database. So this is obviously not completely recommended, or this is not everything you should do. I also posted this question below my article, but let me finish a few lines right now. So if we find the user and somehow encounter an error, we return the done object with the error and false, because authentication was not successful. But if we find the user, we can just call our done function and pass the user object we found, and as a fallback we also have to call it with false. So okay, sorry. At this point you should maybe see already what's missing. Think about it for a second. Yes, so we just take the ID from the payload and try to find this user inside our database and return it. There's obviously no password check right here, but you could easily implement this, and this part is left for you. You will see how to check the password later in another function, but yeah, I'll leave it open to you right now because this is enough for now. Alright, back to our server.js. Before we use this, we also want to open the connection with Mongoose, and for this we use config.database, which is the string, you know, to our MongoDB. Alright, we have our passport initialized and the JSON web token strategy assigned. So let's head on and create a bundle for our API routes, and this will work like this. After we have defined all our routes and assigned them to API routes, we can just say app use our API routes under /API. So this makes it a bit more easier to structure everything. I'm also putting everything inside server.js. You could obviously have some modules more and export and import them, but for now this should be fine. So first of all, our first API route will be a post to /signup because we need users to register, and we have this function with the request, the response. We put it to our API routes, and in all of those posts or gets I'm making or implementing right now, you will see a lot of error handling. This sucks a bit, but well, it's better to have it. So if anything's missing, in that case we have no success, and we will also always just return a message. So something's missing at this point. But if we can find the name and the password inside the request, we will try to create a new user, and we will pass the name as the request body.name, and the password should be request body request body.password. So this is our new user object we created. We now try to save this, and again an error could occur, and in that case again we will return this. I'm not completely sure about the return here. I will just leave it away for now. Whatever this might be, username already exists, for example. Or a more general error. But if we are lucky, we can return true, and we have a great success. Successful created user. Alright, so this is our sign up method, and right now we can already test this. So where is it? Yes. Okay, we kill it. Oh, what's wrong? I don't know. Let's start it again. And so our root was API sign up. Let's say Simon, and the mighty password is password. And we get success through successful created user. Let's take a look at RoboMongo right now. So find your database. Sorry. And there's the ID, Simon, and the password, just like we wanted to have it. It's completely hashed or salted or whatever. There's no chance we can see anything of the clear password at this point, and that's exactly what we wanted. And if I send this request out again, we get success false because this username already exists. And let's try this case, no password. Please pass name and password. So this is just like we want it to behave. Let's move on to our next function, which will be our authenticate function. Again, we need a post to authenticate, and again a function. And this time we start with user find one, and we can search just by the name because the name is unique in my example. But otherwise you would have to use the user ID or something like that. So user find one, and again we need some error handling. Yes, beautiful, I know. If we got an error, let's just throw it at this point. But if we got, well, if we don't have a user, we also want to return specific status this time, because if we can't find him, he's not authorized. And let's return a 403 to know he is not allowed. And the success will be false. The message will be authentication failed, user not found. Or maybe this is no 403. This is just another error, but let's keep it so you know how to use this. Alright, so if we find the user by his credentials, we need to compare the password. Keep in mind, we're not protecting this root by the JSON Web Token or Passport.js. This root is public, so at this point we need to handle the authentication by ourselves. So this is why we call user compare password, and we pass the request body password and the callback function. So if we find a match, so this is good and there's no error, well, let's keep at this right now. This would be the case if there's some error and this is not correct. Well, at this point that would be correct. Maybe wrong password, something like this, because we have found the user but the password is not matching. But if the password is correct, we got the user and everything's fine. So this is the important point where we create our JSON web token and we encode the complete user object and use our secret key for this. So this is a very important line because this creates the token which will be used for authentication later on. And obviously we then want to send out this token. The success would be true in this case, and the token would be JWT token. So Passport.js, or especially the JSON web token extension or strategy, wants the token to be in this syntax with a space and with JWT in front of it. As we just have it at this one position and later we need to extract it in the backend, we can keep it. I don't really like that we have to use it like this, but for now, or in general, it's fine for me because it's working and it's not that bad. Alright, so let's go back to our server, start it again, and go back to Postman. So I created a user with Simon and password, I think. So no, this is old. Okay. Oh, I cannot. Oh, whatever. So, let's try it with a wrong password. Wrong password, obviously. But let's try it with the correct one. And as you can see, we get a success true, and we got this token. We don't know what's exactly inside, but we just have to assign this in the front end to every request, and our backend will handle the rest with the token. Great, right? Yeah, I like it too. Okay, so you might be a bit concerned because we encode the complete user object in the token. I'm not sure if this is a security problem. Yes, there's the password in the user object, but it's the salted, encrypted, whatever password, and the token is also encrypted. I'm not sure if there could be any problems. I'm not the mighty security guy. Maybe you know this better, so if you know if this is bad or whatever, please leave me a note. I would really love to hear your comments about this. Let's finish our app with our last route, and this will be a protected route, so only users with a JSON web token on their request will have access to this. So make a get route, let's call it member info or whatever you like, and at this point we call passport and say authenticate, and we have to specify a strategy, and this is the JSON web token strategy we defined before. And we also have to pass, or I'm not completely sure if we have to pass this, but session false because we don't have any sessions in our example. Alright, close this, and now comes our request response. And first of all, at this point, we want to get the information which is stored in the token of the request. So we have to extract the token, and therefore we will just pass the headers because, I think it's the best way to have the token in the front end always to the headers assigned. And let's create a little function get token below. This comes because, we have this special syntax, and also we make the security check, or the check if the headers are set, and also especially the authorization header, because this is the object which holds our JSON web token later on. So we crafted our mighty header. Now it's the time to split it. I'm sorry for this a bit, maybe. I don't really like this code because we just have it because the JWT is in front of our token, and this would be no valid token if we decode it like this. So we split and we return the first, which is just the plain or pure token. If for some reasons this is not correct, the token is also not correct, and we return null. And also, if we are not able to find any headers, well, we return null as well. We could leave this away and just whatever, we get the token or we get null. So back to our member info. If we actually got a token, we can do stuff. If we don't got a token, we return again a 403 because, well, the user has no token provided. But if we find the token, and at this point we can also be sure that passport authentication was successful, because this is running before all of the code inside this route is executed. So our user is successful authenticated and we got the correct token from the header. We need to decode our JSON web token, so-called JWT decode, and pass the token. And again, also we need our secret, which we use to encode our token. Now we can again find our user just by its name, and this will be decoded.name because the complete user object was stored or is stored in the JSON web token. So again, if there's an error, for now just let it throw. In production you will get a problem if you just throw an error, but for this example this is fine. And again, if we are not able to find this user, something is wrong for some reason, but I think this case can actually not occur, because if this user is somehow incorrect or whatever, we would catch this in the password strategy. But it's better to have it, so just leave it there. And if we have a success, we can create an object with success true, and the message will say welcome in the member area, and welcome in the member area, yes, we need to user.name and this. So is there anything wrong? Yes, okay. So if we can identify the user correctly, we have access to all the properties, so we can greet him with his name inside this area. Alright, so this is our member info route, and let's go back to our server, restart it, And okay, we have successfully signed up. We use the authentication. We copy this token. We head on to the get member info root, and we create a header called authorization. We paste our token, and we get a success. Welcome in the member area, Simon. Without passing any member information or anything else, everything is right here in this token. And if we just remove one character, we will get an unauthorized with 401. This comes from our passport security, and yeah, that's exactly how we have achieved our security inside the Node.js backend. In the next part, I will show you the front end for this and how to store this token and make the request, but the backend is more hard, or it's complicated. The front end is way more easier. So if you like to get informed about new tutorials like this, or take a look at my other tutorials, please make sure to follow and subscribe my channel, and if you like this, leave me a comment. Have a good day and bye.